जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन
यमुनातीरवनचारि
यमुना तीर वनचारी
जय राधा कुञ्ज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव मैया सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव मैया सुभद्रा
जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव मैया सुभद्रा जगन्नाथ बलदेव देवी सुभद्रा
जय राधा रति हरि राधा रति हरि राधे
जय राधा रास बिहारी राधे
जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय
जय गौरनिताय जय
जय
गौरनिताय
सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान
जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान
जय गोपाल देवा जय गोपाल देवा जय गोपाल देवा जय गोपाल देवा
जय गोपाल देवा जय गोपाल देवा जय Gopal Deva, Jaya Gopal Deva.
Jaya Nrsimhade, Jaya Nrsimhade, Jaya Nrsimhade, Jaya Nrsimhade.
Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shripad, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Shripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shripad, Gurudev Shripad.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस जी का आचार्य स्तोत्र सतत श्रीमद भक्ति स्वरूप दामोदर स्वामी श्रीपाद गुरु महाराज की जय।
जय जय जय
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस जी का आचार्य स्तोत्र सतत श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री गुरुपाद की जय।
जय जय
अनंत गोविंद की जय।
जय
नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
जय जय
श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय।
जय
श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री जय। श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री द्वारका धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गौरमंडल नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त की जय। हिताय गौर प्रमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gaurang, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। निगमकल्पतरो गलितं फलम् सुखमुखामृतद्रुवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम् मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकः मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकः मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकः। O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So, I welcome on behalf of Bhaktivedanta Institute to this ongoing session of Srimad Bhagavatam. I thank Bhaktivedanta Institute for giving me an opportunity to render this service with my limited capacity and knowledge. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Bless me so that I can repeat whatever I read and understood, assimilated. Sorry. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 2nd chapter, 44th verse. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. Suyajno nanvayam sete mudayam anusochata yashrotayo anuvakteha sana drishyeta kharichit. Suyajno nanvayam sete mudayam anusochata yashrotayo anuvakteha sana drishyeta kharichit. Suyajno nanvayam sete mudayam anusochata yashrotayo anuvakteha sana drishyeta kharichit. So I'll directly go to translation and purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yamaraj continued, O lamenters, you are all fools. The person named Suyajna, for whom you lament, is still lying before you and has not gone anywhere. Then what is the cause of your lamentation? Previously, he heard you and replied to you, but now, not finding him, you are lamenting. This is contradictory behavior, for you have never actually seen the person within the body who heard you and replied. There is no need for your lamentation, for the body you have always seen is lying here. Purport. This instruction by Yamaraj in the form of a boy is understandable even for a common man. A common man who considers the body the self is certainly comparable to an animal. Yashatma buddhi punape tridhatuke sayeva gokaraha. But even a common man can understand that after death, a person is gone. Although the body is still there, a dead man's relatives lament that the person has gone away. For a common man sees the body but cannot see the soul. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yata dehe, the soul, the proprietor of the body, is within. After death, when the breath within the nostrils has stopped, one can understand that the person within the body who was hearing and replying has now gone. Therefore, in effect, the common man concludes that actually the spirit soul was different from the body and has now gone away. This, even a common man coming to his senses can know that the real person who was within the body and was hearing and replying was never seen. For that which was never seen, what is the need of lamentation? Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Surupadamodara Swami Nami. Namaste Namasad Bhaktamanaye Manipurudhavayasha Prabhupada Rasadvani Pracharanirtayate. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pachatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a very wonderful verse, because this is what the knowledge that we are supposed to get, not just the knowledge, the realization that we are supposed to get, the science of self-realization. That is what is being discussed here. And again, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, this knowledge is being repeatedly given to all of us, so that we understand this and realize this before this lifetime comes to an end, so that we start doing what we are supposed to be doing after acquiring this knowledge. So, just to recap, I think every speaker of these sessions must have recapped. So, when Varahadev, Lord Vishnu in the form of Varaha avatar, kills Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu gets very angry. And after getting angry, he accuses the Supreme Personality of Godhead of being partial to the demigod. And he agitates the Rakshasas and demons to go and disturb the ritualistic ceremonies and religious process. And he also, at the same time, he tries to console his nephews about quoting the Shastras, and how the body and the spirit soul are different. And in that process, he narrates about the story of Suyagnya of Usinara. Okay. So, while narrating the story, how the king, after leaving his body, all the queens, they kind of get into a deep lamentation, and they cry so loud that Yamaraj himself comes to give them the knowledge and instruction, and that is what? In the form of a boy, and we are in that stage. Okay. So let us go into today's translation. Yamaraj continued, "O lamenters, you are all fools." In many places, this word comes, fools. Okay, actually, it is referring to all of us, at least for me, to me. Mudha. This Mudha is mentioned in many places. I would like to quote some of the verses where this Mudha word is, because it's very relevant and important for this. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita 7.15, 7.15, it is said, Namam duskritino Mudha prapadyante naradama mayaya aparitajana asuram bhavamashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Now we'll come to that surrender part later. But one phrase is here, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. Here also, in the translation, Prabhupada writes that the people, Prabhupada writes, the person for whom you are lamenting is very much there. But you are crying that that person is gone. So you have the knowledge that this person is not the body. At the same time, because you are in illusion that the person is the body, you start lamenting. So this is intelligently foolish or foolishly intelligent. You see, the intelligence also is there, that you understand, you have the knowledge that this person is not the body, but at the same time, something happens to all of us. Something covers that illusion, and we get under the grip of this illusion, and we start lamenting for those near and dear ones who leave their body. Okay. So that is why we need to understand that we are all foolish. Accept that we are all foolish. Once we come to that understanding that I am Mudha, then the knowledge will spring. Okay. So in another sloka, in Bhagavad Gita itself, 9.11, again this word is used. Avajananti Mudha Manasim Tanamashritam Parambhavam Ajananto Mamabhuta Maheshwaram. In the translation it said, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. So somewhere in the purport, Prabhupada writes, what is knowledge means? Knowledge means to understand the difference between the spirit and the body, and the controller of both. Okay. So if you do not have the knowledge that the spirit is different from the body, spirit soul is different from the body, then I am a Mudha if I do not have that understanding. Okay. And if I do not have the knowledge of the controller, the Supreme Lord, then also I am Mudha. So here in this scenario, in this verse, the people who are lamenting for the death of Suyajna, they are called foolish here. Okay. Now they need the knowledge. Okay. So that is why you see, even though all these things happen, the Lord is so merciful that the Supreme Personality of Godhead's dear devotee, Yamaraj himself, comes in the form of a boy to give them the knowledge. Okay. Now, there is another word which is very much, anusochata. You cry for what? In Bhagavad Gita again, Lord Krishna says, when Lord Arjuna refuses to fight, he chastises him. First he chastises, Kutastva kasmalam midam vishame samapastitam anarejusham asargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. The next he says, asochananvasochatvam prajnavadam cha bhashase katasu nagatasuncha nanusochanti panditaha. So this is what I said. Either we are foolishly intelligent or intelligently foolish. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, while posing yourself as a learned person, intelligent person, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So, here also the same sentence is being used in this translation also, that the relatives of queens, particularly of Suyagnya, they are all lamenting or mourning for what is not worthy of grief. So, those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Okay? So, this knowledge, as I mentioned, that is given again and again, again and again, and again and again in different places. So, here in this verse, the Lord took the position of a teacher. Okay? So, there, the Yamaraj takes that position of teacher, who is the pure devotee of the Lord. Okay? And chastise Arjuna, calling him indirectly a fool. Mudha. Okay? The Lord said, you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul. So the conclusion here is, if you call yourself as learned, the ultimate understanding, ultimate knowledge that you should get is that the difference between body and soul. What is body? What is soul? Once you understand this, then one will not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition, as explained in later chapters. It will be clear that here, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, knowledge means to know matter and spirit, and the controller of both. If anybody asks us, at least followers of this culture, Krishna conscious culture, then we should be in a position to very confidently say that knowledge means to know the matter and spirit and the controller of both. Okay. Now we will move to the purport. I just wanted to take few words from that translation and discuss on that. Now we'll move to the purport. This instruction by Yamaraj in the form of a boy is understandable even for a common man. A common man, even a common man who's supposed to be not having that much of a knowledge, that kind of knowledge, he himself understands this. What he understands, a common man who considers the body, the self, is certainly comparable to an animal. Okay. First, who's common man? Is defining common man. So common man is the one. Yasyatma buddhi punapetridhartake sayeva bhokara. That who generally considers that the body is self. Okay. And he is compared to an animal. But even a common man can understand that after the death, the person is gone. And that is the reason he starts lamenting, crying. Although the body is still there, the dead man's relatives lament that the person has gone away. For a common man sees the body but cannot see the soul. So here, that's what the word contradiction is used here. One side we cry that something is gone. That means we are in knowledge that something is the one that animates the body. That something has left. That's why the animation has stopped. That knowledge is there, but somewhere, this illusion covers that knowledge. This illusion is so strong that it covers that knowledge, and because of which we start lamenting. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino Asmin Yata Dehe, the soul, the proprietor of the body, is within. So, the soul that animates the body, it makes the body to laugh, hear, speak, walk, talk. All those activities are possible only because of the spirit soul that is within the body. So, what happens after death? Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir. After giving up this body, it takes up another body. So one who knows this is a dhira, the sober person. He do not get disturbed. Okay. After death, when the breath within the nostrils is stopped, normally, how do normally people come to know whether the person is alive or dead? Normally, there's no doctor, there's no stethoscope, so normally we'll just check whether he is breathing or not by putting our fingers near his nostrils. So if it's not happening, unless that person is a yogi who got into the yogi position where he could stop the breath and still living, generally the breath is stopped means the person is supposed to have died. Okay. So then the breath within the nostrils is stopped. One can understand that the person within the body was hearing and replying has now gone. Therefore, in effect, the common man concludes, Prabhupada uses this word, why we need to understand, because Prabhupada doesn't choose these words randomly or just like that. Why he uses this common man word? We need to contemplate on that. Because common man has both the thing. He has kind of knowledge, but he doesn't know that he has knowledge. So that crops up when the person dies. And that he cries, oh, chala gaya, he's gone. Who is gone? The person whom you are thinking that he is that person based on his body, his tags. When some great person dies, he say, oh, the Prime Minister has died. Oh, or the businessman, the business tycoon has died. These are all bodily attachments. The scientist has died. The scientist has not died. Because scientist is a tag attached to the body. But who has died is the person within that scientist body, the spirit soul. So normally we keep hearing this regularly, but somehow we all, at least I can talk about myself, we forget this. We forget this once the class is over, when we start moving, when we get back to our work, we get into that bodily concept of life. A very, very strong, illusion that we move around with. It's so difficult, so difficult. So how do we remove this illusion? So to remove this illusion and to remove this ignorance, to give us the knowledge, we need some teacher like the Supreme Lord to come and chastise us. Here, the way Yamaraj is chastising, literally is chastising, means, okay, and give us the knowledge. So we need the mercy of the Supreme Lord or the mercy of his pure devotee to come and chastise us, to give us that knowledge. It all looks very simple, that knowledge. When we hear this, oh, I am not this body, I am spirit soul, we all say that one. But to realize it, what all we need to do is not so easy. You have to do the process, you have to take it, the process. We have many processes. But the very important process is chanting the holy name of the Lord in this, which is meant for this Kali Yuga. And while doing that and hearing about the glories of the Lord and the pure devotees, but by having association of the pure devotees or devotees of the Lord, but being in the association of the devotees, by serving, okay, we slowly, this illusion will be dispelled. This ignorance will be dispelled. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. This ignorance will be dispelled by the light of knowledge. From the torch of the spiritual master. Okay. So we constantly need, because as I mentioned, that we get that awakening the moment we leave out of this association. We go out of this association. Association can be in many ways. Associating with the scriptures, associating with the Vani, associating with Vapu, physical association. When before we took shelter of Guru Maharaj, one of our senior devotee said, when we ask this question, when we are out somewhere where there are no devotees, then what do we do? So they said that you listen to Prabhupada's lectures. Listen to Prabhupada's lectures. Read Prabhupada's books. So through that lectures and books, you will get association. And for those who have done this, you will acknowledge and appreciate that, yes, this is very much true. You can take association of Srila Prabhupada through his books. You can take association of Srila Prabhupada through his lectures. You can take association of spiritual master by serving him, by serving his mission. You can take association of spiritual master by following his instructions. You can take association of spiritual master by hearing his lectures, by reading his books. You don't need any other association if you are alone. Yes, if you are fortunate enough, then the moment you get an association, make use of that. Physical association of devotees. Very, very important. Otherwise, this illusion will come and cover us again. Okay. So, Prabhupada says, this common man does, even a common man looks intelligently foolish or foolishly intelligent, but even such a common man coming to his senses can know that the real person who was within the body and was hearing and replying was never seen. They're not seen, right? After the death, we say, oh, he has gone, he's gone. So that means you're acknowledging the common man. I'm a common man, so I acknowledge. When my father left last year, I'm in Bangalore now. Actually, I came for this first year TP, which is over. So we all lament. I lament. I lament today. Also, when I used to go home, how father, as they become old, the love increases towards the children. They look for our association, but for some reason we are not able to give that association. Normally, the society, we see that the aged people, old people are kind of neglected. Be it father, mother. That's why so many old age homes are coming up. That's not a good scene. We are seen because this is happening because of the nuclear family concept that has come into picture. But in I think our culture, it was more of staying together, helping each other. This staying together helps at times like this, when something unfortunate happens in the family. That is the material side of it. But on the spiritual side, we should be very strong inside, very, very strong inside. Having that spiritual knowledge that the body and the spirit soul are different. So we should not lament for the death, because the spirit soul never dies. It only takes another body. We should be happy in that way. One has to laugh and celebrate. That is the reason, when some Vaishnava leaves his body, we literally celebrate. We have kirtan, have, singing and dancing. A lot of things happens. But somewhere, yes, still we are in the material concept. So somewhere we feel corner that, yes, Krishna has left his body. We feel sad. But yes, maybe over a period of time, being in the association, as we grow in our spiritual life, then we'll develop this quality. This is one of the quality we have to develop, which is very, very important. So does even a common man coming to his senses can know that the real person who was within the body and was hearing and replying was never seen? For that which was never seen, what is the need of lamentation? So that's why the wives of Suyagnya were lamenting due to the death of their husband. Therefore, here they are referred to as fools. Because they do not have the knowledge that the body and the spirit soul are different. I can stop here, or I can take 5 minutes, quote one more shloka, that is Bhagavad Gita 16.20. Ashiram asurim yonim apanna mudha janmani janmani mam aprapyaiva kaunteya tato yanti adamam gatim. It is, the translation goes like this: attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such person can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So what happens if you are still foolish? When we are under illusion, we sink down, down and down in our existence. So that is why to acquire this knowledge, to realize this knowledge is very, very important. Regarding the common man, it is known that God is all merciful, but here we find that God is never merciful to the demoniac. It is clearly stated that the demoniac people, life after life, are put into wombs of similar demons and not achieving the mercy of Supreme Lord. They go down and down, so that at last they achieve bodies like those of cats, dogs, and hogs. It is clearly stated that such demons have practically no chance of receiving the mercy of God at any stage of later life. In the Vedas, it is stated that such persons gradually sink to become dogs and hogs. It may be then argued in this connection that God should not be advertised as all merciful if he is not merciful to such demons. In answer to this question, in the Vedanta Sutra, we find that the Supreme Lord has no hatred for anyone. So the whole thing started because of killing of Hiranyaksha. So here it is kind of accusing the Supreme Lord to be partial. So in this purport, it is said that the Supreme Lord is not partial to anyone, even if he is granting you that lower form of lives. That is also, it is because of his mercy that he wants to claim you back. Okay? He wants to claim you back. All I'm trying to say is these three things: body, spirit, and the controller. Now, when we say you should understand the controller, you should appreciate, acknowledge the capacity or the power of the controller. You cannot be questioning what he does. Oh, he does like this, so it is not correct. He does like this is right. When we start judging the controller, then you become a controller or trying to become the controller. Okay. So, if you do not want to be foolish, do not want to be mudha, you have to appreciate the supreme position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees in your life. So, having understood that position, we should surrender and serve them humbly. By doing that, we can come to the level to acquire that knowledge, to realize that knowledge, that the difference between matter, spirit, and the controller of both. Okay. So I will try to stop here. If you have any questions or comments, you'll take up because it's already time. 8:15, I want to stop. And Prabhupada also quotes that Yashatma Buddhi Kunapetritatake Swadik Kalatradishu Bhavama Ijjati Yat Tirtha Buddhi Salilena Karhichit Janesh Abneshu Sayeva Gokhara. Prabhupada talks how the common man is compared to Gokhara. That one who identifies himself as the inert body composed of mucus, bile, and air, kapha, pitta, vata, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image or the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely a water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, worships, or even visits those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than an ass. Sayeva Gokhara. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 84th chapter, and 13th verse. Prabhupada is quoted in this purport. Okay. So it is very clear that one who considers the body to be made up of considers himself to be made up of kapha, pitta, vata, the Sri Dhatu, who is nothing more than Gokhara, an animal. Okay, so that is what it is. In today's translation and purport, we get this knowledge. So basically, this true intelligence, one is knowledge, what is knowledge, other one is what is true intelligence. True intelligence means freedom from false identification of the self. Real intelligence means freedom from false identification of the self. That is what it is. So thank you very much. Because this knowledge is very much available everywhere. There is nothing much I could add. You all must have heard it so many times. It's just I got an opportunity to repeat it again in front of all of you. So that's all from my side. If you all have any questions or queries or comments, most welcome.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice class. Yeah, Srikant Prabhuji is having something. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
My question is, Prabhuji said that when the Vaishnavas leave, then we still celebrate. We should celebrate ideally, but we lament because of our material ignorance. So, does Prabhuji really think that when devotees lament the departure of Vaishnavas, so that lamentation is it ignorance laden, or is it spiritually placed?
I know I can speak about myself, Prabhu. I really cannot comment on other Vaishnavas, definitely, because for that I have to become that Vaishnava. According to this, we should not be lamenting, but that lamentation comes maybe later. Maharaj can add to this my wrong understanding, if it is that still I feel that I am still, if I go by purely by this, then I feel myself to be in the materialistic platform to lament for that one. But I really cannot comment on other Vaishnavas, because they know. I really cannot comment on that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Anyone else would like to ask any further question regarding today's class? If so, please raise your hand and ask His Grace Mother Krishna.
Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes, very wonderfully you kept your focus within the thing. Srila Prabhupada is. Yeah, this is so beautifully just expanded upon the concept, which seems like we know it, no? Without feeling it. It's like knowing it, means knowing means believing, not knowing. Believing it but not knowing it. मानते हैं ले जानते नहीं. That जिस व्यक्ति को हम मिस कर रहे हैं उसको भी मिले ही नहीं. How can we miss him? Where is the point of lamenting over the body? But Srikant Prabhu's question is beautiful. So there are two kinds of hankerings on the material platform and spiritual platform. On the material platform, this purport and your explanation takes care of completely. It's like a very amazing thing that we know that the person who is speaking and is different from the body, and still only when the person who was never known or heard or seen, he lives and it creates. So even when the soul leaves the body, my question is in this regard, just to expand on that point, that even when the person we have never seen, he has left, but our conditioning is that the body is active because of his presence. And with body, we have the exchange and all these things. And so, because we are so used to the body which is perishable, and because the person's living makes the body which is very suitable for our exchange, now we are deprived of that exchange of the body because of the absence of the person. We didn't really care for the person. We cared that his presence made the body usable for us. Okay? And that's why the hankering is not for the person actually. Hankering is the non-function of the body. And it causes our miserable, because nobody can bring that body to life, whether it is this life or that life. We just call a name to that person by calling the name to the body, not to the person. Body is most important. So the hankering here is makes one miserable. But when we hanker for the departure or physical presence of even the body which we saw of the spiritual master, correct? In the same context, that lamentation is why it is elevating our because that's why we are trained that the spiritual master is his eternal rupa, his external manifestation, but he is eternal associate of Krishna. The spiritual master to be perceived in that eternal rupa, as an associate of Krishna. Now, when you think of it as an associate, the difference between the body and the soul is not. Although we also see spiritual master's body, and we worship the body, serve the body, and the body is put in samadhi because. But he should always be perceived and accepted in his eternal rupa. So the question is, the lamentation apparently is similar, whether it is for the material body or the person, as we saw. But we know the status and the swarup of the spiritual master as an eternal associate of Krishna. So that lamentation or hankering for his association, because we know that he exists with Krishna, so that raises our hankering, or it gives us permanent touch with Krishna, eternal person. And that's why Lord Krishna says that na malte buddhya suyeta sarva deva maya guru. The spiritual master is not martya, or the mortal being, because he is situated in his swarupa as an eternal associate servant of Krishna. Whereas in the material world, the people who leave their body, our so-called close ones and the dear ones, we are interested in our loss, that body is no more working for me. That body is not more working. Why my wife's body is not talking to me? Why my husband's body is not talking to me? We are interested only in the body. So hankering on this material platform or body, just identifying with the body, makes one miserable. Whereas the lamentation for the non-presence or not physically physical presence of the spiritual master It just connects us to the absolute realm. It's having it, And we could not lament or hanker for the association of the spiritual master as much when he was personally with us. But he's definitely with Krishna. He's definitely in his eternal Swarupa, as a Swarup Manjari. Correct? In our context, our spiritual master is Swarup Manjari. Serving under the leadership of Rupa Manjari in Radha Kunja at Radha Kund. So our hankering that he came in our life, and that lamentation connects it to the spiritual realm. So that's why we say that the hankering on the material platform makes one miserable, because wo abhav is never to be fulfilled. The hankering or lamentation on the spiritual platform is having it, because the spiritual realm or Krishna's association or the eternal lies in our hankering for it. Without hankering, we don't get it. So now, if you want to seek the association of the spiritual master, it is very readily and vibrantly available in our hankering for his association. And lamentation expresses that hankering, and we can feel the vibrant presence even now. So you how to meditate on how to make this the spiritual master or Vaishnavas hankering for their association or lamentation on their special day. Because this is the same question Srikant Prabhu had. I have also the same question, that how to help us perceive the eternal body or eternal rupa of the spiritual master, on which we can contemplate in his spiritual world. Because Chakshudan dilo jai jadme jadme Prabhu se. Birth after birth we receive this transcendental knowledge from him. So how to help us to perceive the spiritual master's eternality in his eternal Swarupa? Because if we see just the body as we perceived, then it would be similar to the other people's body, But how to make the spiritual master or any Vaishnava's appearance, which we saw only in body, how to perceive them in the eternal Rupa? What should be our contemplation? This is my question.
Oh yeah, it's a question I thought Maharaj will comment. But I don't know about how to answer this question. One realization I got while we're talking is whatever you said. From that, one thing I could understand is that in both the cases, the materialistic platform or spiritual platform, both the cases I am being selfish. In the sense, I'm selfish because, as Maharaj mentioned, that I am not able to use this body or I am not able to interact with this body, so I am at loss, right? So in that way, I am selfish, being selfish, that my real lamentation is not for the person who's gone, but actually the lamentation is because I am not able to interact with him, get whatever I have to get from him, in whatever form it is. It could be small or big, anything. That is one aspect of it. But the same thing when we come to the spiritual, again, I'm being selfish, that I am being selfish. I know I quote that self within quote selfish, in the sense I am not maybe I am ignorant that I am under the protection and mercy of my spiritual master, but somewhere I feel that I miss that. I'm going to miss that mercy. I'm going to miss that protection in his physical absence, So there also the selfishness is there. It is high, right? So I feel both are selfish, but in this case, the selfishness is more to worry about your spirit self, that is what I feel. But I'll not be able to answer that question, how to develop that hankering, what we need to do. I think it's a process, Maharaj. Is there a scientific process for that? I really do not know that. When we do this, you will start having that feeling. I think it is that the very, very connection that we have, that the bond we have with the spiritual master, as he said that Chaku Dilejay Janma Janma Prabhu say, he comes life after life, because even if I forget, he is there holding, like the cat holding the kitten and taking me from one place to other place, so I need not have to worry. I'm not like my spiritual master is not like monkey. I'm a baby monkey holding on to my spiritual master with my own strength, so it's like, sitting in a car, Uber driver, Uber car, and you just tell where you have to go. The Uber driver takes care of it. But if you have to drive, then you have to watch, here, there, everywhere, traffic jam, everything you have to worry. But once we have that surrender to the spiritual master, like a cat carries, the kitten, I become the kitten, then everything is taken care. So to come to this understanding itself is a big, I don't know what, tapasya. How do I come to that stage? But at least I understood that I have a spiritual master. I have taken the shelter of spiritual master. His mercy is there, and now I'll be taken care. So that is all, Maharaj. That's with my simple understanding. This is all I can tell you. But Raj can add.
Well, one thing is very very clear. The spiritual hankering. Why the hankering for the spiritual master's absence is spiritual? Because our relation of a proper disciple or true disciple is to give himself to the spiritual master. His role was always to bring the joy and the service, satisfaction to the spiritual master. So he was grooved in the mood of giving himself out completely. Like Atma Samarpan in the presence of the spiritual master is so natural, spontaneous, and unconditional. One can feel it. One can be chastised also if something is proper, and we take that chastisement is also as a mercy. So in full surrender, as we aspire to surrender to Krishna, that surrendering to Krishna is experienced in person with the spiritual master. It's not different, because Krishna is one of the 5 manifestations in this world. One is Kripalu Purushakriti. Krishna himself described it. He manifests his manifestation described by the knowers of Vedas, the spiritual master. So what we experience, what we imagine, that what it would be like to surrender fully, love fully Krishna, and worship Krishna fully, that we experience in person, and that is very much missed. Something which you experience in person, you are not exploiting, like when husband dies or wife dies or brother or sister, all these family relations, our expectation from them to receive a lot of things. But here the relationship is giving it all out. A disciple gives it all out, and that giving out he is missing. Of course, then he sustains his giving out to spiritual master, to his mission, and this is how he sustains his life. That's why the hankering for the spiritual master is spiritual, because it only ignites, it only manifests our giving out, total, complete giving out nature, and that's why it is very elevating to our consciousness. It frees us from self-centeredness and what is there for me, what is there for me. I was there for the spiritual master, now I am here, but the spiritual master is, where is he gone? Not finding him, what will I do now? Then his expansions, his more dedicated, more advanced disciples, God brothers, they help us to sustain our dedication, giving out completely to his mission. That's why the Vapu Seva then is taken over by Vani Seva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. That's wonderful, wonderful understanding. Thanks for that. Really.
Hare Krishna. Our Shyamchandra Prabhu is having something to say, I guess. Yes, Shyamchandra Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandat Pranam to all of you. Jai Srila Sripad Maharaj, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful class, first of all. Wonderful discussions going on. Really absorbing. I'm in the office, but not able to concentrate in the office, but I'm fully absorbed in this class. And very nice question by our Shrikant Prabhu also.
Yes.
Yeah. So when this discussion was going on, this thought came to my mind that this lamentation is very natural, whether it is material or even spiritual. The only difference could be in the material world, it is driven by selfish motive, more of lusty propensity, whereas in the spiritual world, lamentation stems out of pure love. I mean, we see that even during Gaurang Mahaprabhu's pastime, why did he go repeatedly and wanted to visit Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, when he was actually craving in the mood of Radharani, he was actually craving to get the association of the Lord. And even our great Acharya Narottam Das Thakur, he says Pashane Kutibo Matha, Panale Pashibo. Okay, and Se Sangha na Paya. That means when there is no association, Se Sangha na Paya Kande Narottam Das. So these acharyas are also have expressed their lamentation, but this stems out of pure love. They sing for the spiritual beings. They actually seeing the spiritual beings, and what am I doing here without them? Why I am not with them there? So that lamentation is, I think, a desirable lamentation, and we should welcome that. But this whole verse today was mainly about the common man, where the lamentation was purely on the missing in the body platform. So there's a clear demarcation, but fine line is there. But I think we need to follow the footsteps of the acharyas. They also lament. So that's why when Guru Maharaj left, we cried, because we know that this spiritual being has left us. So it's not that we never thought it's a body that has left; it's a spiritual being, and now we want to be with him. So that is the craving, and that causes a lamentation also, hankering and lamentation. So this is some things which I just crossed my mind while sitting in the office room. So I thought I'll just share it.
Yes, that's really wonderful, actually. Yes, we want to be there. We have a benchmark set already. The Vaishnavas have said, how to lament for the spiritual master, how to lament for Krishna. I am talking about like where I am. So, so when Prabhuji asked this question, I said yes. Yeah, I'm here, but yes, we have to be there. So now, how do we? That's what Maharaj asked. Like also, how do we reach that place? So, is it a scientific process? Yes, you do this, you will reach that stage of Narottam Das Thakur, or what is it? That is the question.
It is scientific, Prabhu. It is scientific. It is a scientific because the consciousness we have to constantly absorb in the thoughts of these great personalities, and it is it is clearly we have experienced it. Maybe not in a very small manner. When we associate, take devotee sangha, our consciousness, we are all we think of good things, and immediately our devotion also creeps. The creeper grows. But the moment we detach ourselves or dissociate from devotees, even temporarily, and then associate with the mundane activities, because we are forced to do that, certain circumstances. At that time we struggle. So definitely it is scientific, and the science is that our consciousness has to be constantly cleansed, and then surely we will I mean, if we just think of Guru Maharaj's lotus feet, for a moment, close your eyes and think of Guru Maharaj's lotus feet, immediately we forget everything else, and then our consciousness goes to a different state. So it is scientific, definitely. It's subtle.
You are really, fortunate, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu. No, Prabhu.
See,
You are inspiring me. It's not fortunate. See, it's just that you are having a treasure, and and I'm just taking that from you. So it's just like each one of us have it, and sometimes I may not know what I have. You may not know what you have. It happens that way. But I see what you have, so I'm taking it from you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yes, our Balramji is having a question, it seems. Balramji, please make it fast.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Very
nice discussion. So I have.
Now you are going to be the lawyer. Now you said, pose your questions.
No. So, Prabhuji, very nice discussion. Anyway, so my question is, when somebody dies, we lament for the body, but we have not seen the person. That's very true. But what happens after we die? Will we be able to identify that person? Because if we cannot identify in this life, how do we identify when he's dead, and let's say we go, either we become ghost or we go to the spiritual world. Is there any identification for that?
Well, after our death?
First of all, why do you want to identify?
So that means when we say we go to that stage, that means or when we say Krishna is there and his sakhas are also there in the spiritual world, so how do they identify themselves? Because here we cannot identify even the person who is speaking or who dead, who died.
Okay. Yeah. So no, this is our problem. Our whole understanding and experience is based on the material concept, based on senses, whether it is a gross senses or subtle senses. So we expect the same thing or similar kind of experience to happen in the spiritual world, right? So here, this is we experienced also, and we are not experienced also about the spiritual worlds, because if we have to go by the statement that we are all spirit souls, we are not from this material world. We have come to this material world because of our free will. We wanted to enjoy like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we have come to this thing. So that means it says that we have a glimpse of the spiritual world. And because of that only, we keep searching for that glimpse within this material world, which we never get. Right? We'll never get. Similarly, when you move out of the spiritual world, the experience you have if you move out of the material world, the experience that you are going to have in the spiritual world, if you want to see it or experience it through the material senses or through the material aspects, I think that is going to be difficult. Right?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think
it is the experience, no, Prabhu. It is why we keep hankering, because spirit soul by nature it is blissful, right? Sachidananda. So there's Ananda aspect, we keep looking for that Ananda goes missing. So we find any small opportunity to lament, because I'm not getting that Ananda. So that Ananda I get in the spiritual world, but can I translate or transform that Ananda and try to understand in the material way? I think that is going to be a difficult task. How I will experience after my death, for that I have to we have to come out with something like, you go back and forth, but even then it's like moving from our body to bat's body. What is it like to be a bat? So once you are in bad body, your consciousness will become like bad only. Your senses will be limited by the bad senses. Even if you want to, if I want to call you Balramji, you know, the bat will go key only, right? So either you should have one body here, one body in spiritual, and you have a special connection between the two, so that, you know, you are able to experience, you know, we call it a digital twins in today's digital world. A digital twin is like you have physical machine and a soft machine. Whatever controls you do in the soft machine on the screen, exactly it will happen. You know, the result will happen in the physical machine. So if you have something kind of like that, spiritual and the material, you know, both, we have both, you know, one twin combination, possibly we will be able to experience what you're asking for. I can't think beyond it. Or if I not understood your question, you can just enlighten me with the question again.
No, Prabhuji, you understood, I guess. So here, when we say we hanker for the mercy of the spiritual master,
right,
and also we say, I mean, this Chakhudana Diloje, Janmajan. But if we cannot identify in the next life how it happens that he becomes our spiritual master again, or that spiritual master, when he became once, he remains as spiritual master forever.
Correct. Yeah, he may come in different forms, but definitely he remains the same.
But how, if we don't identify?
We don't identify. You know, what is our capacity to identify, Prabhu? This is what I said. You know, the spiritual master takes it is the Krishna, the ultimate claimer. He is a Krishna. He wants to claim all of us back to his kingdom. Okay. So he will ensure all the processes. He will create all the scenarios. The whole creation of material world is doing only that. Okay, you go. The creation of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha is his plan only. Right? He wants to claim them back. Come and serve. So we are all in that position that we all will be claimed back by the Supreme Lord. Bahunam Janmanam Ante, it may take many lifetimes, but at the same time, when Prabhupada asked once, I think many devotees have mentioned about this in Australia. Some devotee asked, Prabhupada, how much time does it take to go back to Godhead? He says, are you ready? Are we ready? That is a key. So, yes, once if you have to go by the statement, your spiritual master, Janma is come till your, all your things are cleansed, till the time he takes you back. That is his role. That is his service to Krishna. To bring more and more fallen souls back to Krishna. So he will do this. We need not have to really go searching for whether he is the same spiritual master who has come in the previous life. So this is where the faith plays a role. So I really do not know whether Sripad Maharaj was, I don't have a documentary evidence that he was my spiritual master, but the documentary evidence that is available is this only. Janme Prabhu se. Right? If I don't believe it, then I don't believe it. Nobody can help me.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Very, very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Once, yeah, Maharaj, please.
One small comment.
Please, Maharaj.
Question is naturally very wonderful because Balramji represents our questions, And but our sadhana is definitely, it reminds us that we have the eternal rupa, eternal body waiting for all of us in the spiritual world, which we have yet to attain, And when we join this path of pure devotional service or attaining our spiritual form, So our spiritual master becomes the ideal in front of us, you know. When we appreciate the spiritual master in his absolute consciousness, his attachment to his spiritual master, his spiritual master having eternal rupa in the spiritual world. So all of us have, we are working up to that. So in the spiritual world, unlimited murtis, you know, the forms of the forms of all, because all the living entities are eternal servant of Krishna. You know, Swarupa. Swarup, because eternal Swarupa, that cannot be violated. But we have yet to attain the Rupa, or the body which is conducive to our eternal function according to our Swarupa. So spiritual mastery value that he manifested for our understanding, for our exchange of love and surrender in seva. And he is in his eternal Rupa, a Swarupa Manjari. Why I say this again and again? Because all the perfected beings, transcendental personalities, although they appear just as us, you know, as a human being, you know, having sometime disease, having sometime cough and different things, but that is only the external manifestation. Internally, they are situated in the eternal Rupa also, because without attaining eternal Rupa, it's not possible to establish in our Swarup eternally as a servant of Krishna. So there is a process in our system, you know, where there is a description of Siddha Deha. Siddha Deha means the perfected being according to the bhava, which becomes mature, you know. In mature bhava stage, one is blessed to perceive and see one's eternal Rupa in the spiritual world. And Krishna reveals that Rupa to the spiritual master's heart, you know. And the spiritual master, by the potency of his bhajan, or because of his potency of his transcendental status, then he reveals to the spiritual, to the sadhaka. So we need not hurry about it, because merely having the information about our eternal Rupa or everything, unless we come to fall in love with it or become so fascinated by it, fascination has to be there. So fascination will be ignited only by our proper attitude in service. It's our attitude as we perform our devotion, dedication to the spiritual master, that makes us eligible to be granted that eternal Rupa. So in the spiritual world, out of the unlimited murtis or forms, Krishna, in whichever murti, you know, according to the attitude and the bhava, elevated bhava of the living entity or sadhaka, whichever murti Krishna agrees to accept him, that Rupa we get, and that Rupa is revealed through the agency of the spiritual master and by his mercy to our heart. So we must aspire for that eternal status and also perceive the spiritual master as the eternal associate in the same bhava, you know, sajatiya bhava. The spiritual master is situated as a palyadasi, as an eternal pet maid of Srimati Radhika Rani, you know, in Radha Kund. And we also aspire to join in our Anugatya Seva to her. It is as real as we see, and it is Krishna reveals in the heart. He reveals himself, and he reveals also in the heart of the spiritual master. And by his mercy, we also get revealed our eternal Rupa. So otherwise it will remain a mystery forever, correct? We want to keep it a mystery forever. Mahaprabhu has exposed us to this fortune. Yes, we must work up to this. And there is a science, but ultimately it is in our attitude. And our attitude counts. And when Krishna likes and appreciates our attitude of unconditional loving surrender, this is what we practice here. No? And Krishna reveals also, yes, that attitude and that mood, unconditional, I like this soul. And you got a special body, and he will reveal even while we are in this body. Then death becomes a most welcome I Madhur Milan ki Bela, because something which we are going to receive only after death. There is a concept. When we aspire something, and when we understand that that achievement will come only after death of this body, then we don't deny that. We don't. We just wait for that ultimate celebration. We don't even hurry up. Krishna, let me die quickly, because the cultivation is there to increase the bhava and the intensity and the desperation. Desperation for what? For the real thing. Desperation on the material platform. If you are missing something, you are missing forever. It's a hopeless situation. On a spiritual platform, it is most hopeful that we are going to attain our eternal status quo, and we will be joining the spiritual master and in eternal bond and service. And if he wants, we can also continue here. Come here again. So that is the thing. So Balramji's question is very, very sweet, but it is
wonderful, Maharaj. Wonderful.
It is a real journey, and that's what we must search out. And especially Narottam Das Thakur's this Prem Bhakti Chandrika, it exposes something very beautiful. It says, "Sadhane bhavivo jaha siddha dehe pavo taha rag pathir aise upay." So during our sadhana, we can contemplate on our siddha deha, our eternal body, and it has all the descriptions, what is its roop and all these things. The whole thing, it is not just things not to be discussed, but if one is really serious about this question which Balramji asked, then there is a way. It's a very scientific process. It's a science of consciousness. No? Wherever our consciousness becomes fixed with total full intelligence, buddhi, then that is the state we attain at the end. So we have the opportunity to contemplate about our eternal Rupa, and through that contemplation we will be transferred. Krishna will see our proper attitude to really situate ourselves in that realm. It's a real thing. And then when something is revealed in the heart, where is the problem to identify our spiritual master and our Guru Manjari in that sense? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Because sometimes you meet somebody.
Enlightenment, real enlightenment for me. Actually,
even in this,
wonderful question.
Even in this world, sometimes we meet someone and we feel that the bond was like for many, many lifetimes.
True.
Something we were waiting for eternity, correct? Why this feeling for someone and not for others? In the same way, when we found our spiritual master, some revelation comes in the heart. I can speak for myself. Means I don't have the intelligence or anything to find out the spiritual master. I was not even inclined. But when I heard about this spiritual master, somebody told that he was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. You know, Prabhupada is like Krishna for me. You know, when I was growing up, we honor him like Krishna, and he endeared himself to Krishna. He endeared himself to Srila Prabhupada. The shivering entered my heart. Oh, then I want to serve that person. So this is how the connection was heart to heart. I didn't have to search out of 100 spiritual masters, who will be my spiritual master and where is my intelligence, whether how he speaks, how he looks, how he talks, and all these things, they didn't come in my, it's a subjective experience, my subjective experience. So somebody just expressed, if Prabhupada checked him out and allowed him to endear himself to him, what else I have to see? Nothing else, nah? So if Krishna reveals, if Krishna causes that revelation in the heart, then we don't doubt it. So for myself, it was that connection. I didn't meet, I didn't see Guru Maharaj, I didn't know what somebody simply said one sentence, and he was scientist, he was from Manipur and all these things, but he was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. And the moment I heard this, immediately the words came, then I want to serve that person who endeared himself to Srila Prabhupada. So this revelation, means how I felt about someone whom I never met or didn't know what he looks like and whatever. But the description of endearing himself to Srila Prabhupada, it makes him very special in my consciousness. So if he reveals in the heart that connection, that bond, then he can reveal also in what I call him my Swarup Manjari, my Guru Manjari, you know. And if my attachment sustains, then it won't be very difficult to identify him if he calls me there.
Yes,
if he makes the arrangement for me there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's enlightenment for me at last. Yes, Balram, Prabhuji, you got your answer actually. Being here, you can know your Swarupa. Yes.
Rupa.
Being in that Rupa, you can know your Swarupa. That's what Maharaj said.
Swarupa is the function. Rupa is the person.
Okay.
Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nitya Das. That is our function. That cannot be violated. Directly or indirectly, we cannot not serve Krishna under any capacity. You know, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ar Sabhritya. Jare Jaise Nachaise Taise Kare Nitya. Krishna is making everybody dance. Willingly, unwillingly, forcefully, and everybody is dancing. So, and we are doing some part of Krishna's seva, you know, as a bug, as a demon, as a whatever, because our Swarup cannot be violated. But we are hankering for that Rupa, that body, which will be totally conducive to our eternal function. So that's why we hanker for eternal body. And then we don't have to worry about anything else. So that opportunity is granted in our line. If we have strong desire. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Without knowing beforehand, what is it?
Yeah, there is one more comment before that. So, tortoise sons, they identify. Children of tortoise, they identify with their mother.
Okay. Tortoise kids identify their respective mothers without knowing beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yes, Prabhu.
we may conclude, Prabhu.
Yes. Gandhra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari. Thank you, Prabhu.
Grace Mother Manohar Prabhu ki jai. Thank you all.
Jai Jai.
Jai.
Madhur
See you
Krishna.
all tomorrow.